All right. I've been telling people for the last year that I was going to interview you, Eric, and I'm finally getting around to do this. And for those people that have read my books and some of my watched some of my videos, you heard me talk about this astrology that I had done. This is my chart that Eric did, and we're going to talk about what's different about the astrology readings that you do versus regular Western astrology charts. And we're going to talk about what's different between a Vedic chart and we're going to talk about how you became Starwalker, what was involved with this
Mhm.
process, who you got trained by, how long you've been doing it. And I think people are interested in the process of what they can learn from that. And so,
Beautiful.
first off, Eric Starwalker, welcome to my YouTube channel.
I'm honored to connect with the Rev,
You
a
just
brother from another mother.
There you go. And we just recently, you did my youngest grandchild, Gianni,
Yeah.
which was a great reading. Thank you. And and people that I know have been coming to you here, and it seems to be picking up. People are understanding the value that you're giving, and I think people are discovering this. So first off,
Beautiful.
how did you get involved in this, and how'd you end up with
hmm
a name that was given to you? Obviously, Starwalker. How'd that happen?
Yeah. That was a fascinating deep dive into the mystery of who I am. I'm still figuring that out. And way back in 1979, I had met a Toltec shaman, Harley Swiftier, whose teacher was Don Gennaro of the Carlos Castaneda series. There was Don Gennaro and Don Juan Matus, if for those of you who have read his books. And I got involved with the circle there. He had a circle of deep divers into the occult Toltec way of shamanism. And because I was just starting out in astrology, he made me the astrologer to the medicine wheel. And then in 1980, the year after I met him, he took us all out to a remote area of this of New Mexican desert where Don Gennaro actually was still living, and we met Don Gennaro, and when we on the way back, Swifter told me that Don Gennaro named me a Star Walker. So I received my name from this Toltec shaman Don Gennaro, and the Star Walker is not really a name; it's a medicine that I carry. So just like Rev is not really a name; it's an acknowledgement of the energy you carry. And for those of you who have been given a medicine name, it puts the bar above you, and you evolve or grow into that. It's like your Dharma on a medicine level. And so Starwalker is a class of medicine people who have a living conversational relationship with the celestials we call planets. And in modern terms, it's called astrology, but it's more of a living relationship to these beings because as we know, the Earth is alive. We have this ability to communicate with her, but so are the other celestials like Jupiter, Saturn, etc. The Sun. They're also living beings, and Starwalkers establish a conversational relationship with them, and that's what's been developing for me over the last 4 decades or so. So
And you've been dealing this up
that's a brief.
at Mount Shasta, right? Is that where you're at, Mount Shasta, right around that area?
Yeah, I've been anchored here in Mount Shasta for the last 18 years, so I've never been in one place this long. And she just grabbed a hold of me and said, "Brother, you're not going anywhere." So I just feel really honored and blessed to be here.
Well, I was I was unaware of how good your reading was until you did it. I mean, I honestly, I've had charts done it, but yours was so different. And what made yours different, and that's why I'm telling people that this is something that you may need as a spiritual tool because of the readings that you've done for people I know. You're talking about their blockages and why they're not doing what they should, their Dharma, their purpose. You talk about their purpose and why they're here. Talk about the relationship between the past and now and how they got there, where they should be going. So yours is not just like fortune telling, you're going on a long trip, there's some really deep stuff there.
Yeah, I became aware over time that um, I was being spoken to by those who are a little more enlightened than I am. We can call them our team, our guides. I was obsessed with finding out who they were for the longest time, and they finally sat me down and says, "Brother, we're not going to tell you who we are because we want the message we share with you to stand on its own." So, but I became increasingly aware of the that I'm just the messenger, and the one thing I can take credit for is being a good listener. And the interface with my team and the team of the person I'm reading for, then gives me a deeper insight into the nature of the opportunity that their soul is calling in now for their own soul's development. And that's what I concentrate on. It's how the events or opportunities of your life develop your soul, because the events of this life will just fade back into dust. But who your soul becomes and the qualities it develops as a result of this incarnation is what everyone takes home with them, and that's what I focus on. So I can't really say that it's different than others. It's just every astrologer is unique, has different abilities, and what I found is that I'm not here for everyone, and that those who really are most likely to benefit from what I bring into that circle of the reading will find me somehow. They'll be guided to me, and if not me, they'll be guided to some other uh, reader. They could be an astrology reader or a tarot reader, a psychic, but each person is guided to the person that may be most helpful and clarifying the opportunity that their soul's calling in at this moment to advance. So I wouldn't say that, you know, I'm special in any way. I'm just unique. I have a unique quality about the medicine I've developed that reaches certain souls because that's what they're calling for, and that's what will most benefit them in advancing their soul's evolution.
Now you speak about when you're working with somebody, you're actually working with their guides, their angels, their whatever influences they have on the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, as I deepened into my practice or my medicine, I was getting information that there was no, I couldn't read anywhere. You couldn't. There's no astrology book that described that, or even details of their life. I had never met the person. And I says, "Wait a minute, somebody's giving me this. There's no way I could have known this." And I just became aware of and in those teams that I work with just started explaining to me what was going on, and says, "Oh, okay." And I learned to trust it because at first, when I first started out, I just read, I just followed what I'd read in books or the classic astrology, Western astrology. And every once in a while, I'd slip up and say something that wasn't in the books. And the person said, "Wait a minute, keep going with that." And that's when I began to realize there was something more going on here than just my mind involved or my own knowledge. I was being given information from the other side, and you can call it what you like. But what I've also realized is that, as described in the Castaneda books, on a Toltec shamanic level, is what's called heightened awareness. When you shift into heightened awareness, you become more connected with those energies, entities, and states of consciousness above your own. And many call it the soul star, the eighth chakra above your head. You know what I'm talking about when you do your healing work. It just comes channeling through you, right? And it's like it's not yours. You're just the channel, and it's coming from a higher state of being. And there's a certain kind of humbling process that goes along with that because, you can't help but be humbled when you feel that the grace of that higher power moving through you that really meets other people where they live. And that's an ongoing process for me as well.
When you read somebody and you read their chart, before you've actually sat down and talked to them, um, are you getting information before they even show up? I mean, when you get their birth date, you do a chart. Are you downloading this information, or are you
Yeah,
doing?
it's kind of like a ceremony for me because I spend as much time preparing the chart as I do in the reading, and that's why I hand draw them. And as I'm hand drawing the chart, it's like I start connecting with that template of their soul. You're not your chart, you're an immortal soul. But the chart describes the nature of the opportunity that your soul's embracing in this incarnation and the timing of it and the nature of it. But that's why I take time and hand draw it. I don't just print it off a computer. Of course, I use the computer to get the positions of the celestials, but then I sit down and hand draw it. And that ceremony introduces me to their soul's matrix.
Yeah, because I was kind of impressed because somebody that we know said, "Why don't you do Reverend Bill?" And you had no clue who in the hell I was. And so it was for you it was a cold reading other than just having my
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
you brought up things that other readers from different modalities, from palm leaf reading to Vedic astrology to card reading to actual palm readings to all that stuff. They all
Yeah.
basically say things similar to what you brought up, but yours went deeper because listening to yours, it was more about, well, why are you here, Bill? Like,
Right.
why are you here? Why do you have this personality? Why do you have these talents? It's for this reason, for this mission, or for this Dharma.
Exactly. It's the medicine you carry. Not you happen to wrap it in a particular way of expressing yourself, but when you understand the medicine you carry, then you can be more clear, conscious, and purposeful in expressing it. And that's why I also combine astrology with numerology. They're like right and left hands to each other. And before I started using numerology along with the astrology, my readings were not nearly as focused. And I found that the beauty and power of numbers, it's an expression of the development of human intelligence, rather than the cosmic background you were born into. And the numbers kind of define how you as a human being can consciously and creatively engage with the cosmic opportunity of your chart. So the two really work hand in hand and are really a blessing to one another. That's what gives me the clarity and focus about your path and how it's really unfolding and what phase of it you're in.
Now, when you read mine and you read others, it sounds like there's a period of time we kind of cycle, kind of like a nine. I don't know if it's for each individual, but it sounds like there's about a 9 year cycle.
Yeah, it's numerology. It's called personal year numbers. Our
Okay.
lives tend to unfold in 9 year cycles, and they're very because when I first started getting into numerology, I'd already been an astrologer, which is I'm glad I was. Um, I says, okay, brother, you can talk yourself into anything. Let's go back according to the numerology before you knew any of this stuff and see if in fact when a new cycle started, your whole life changed. And sure enough, man, way back in the childhood, when the new cycle started, there was like a whole new world that opened up for me. Long before I knew any of this stuff. So I tested it out on myself first. But numerology, in a way, um, kind of blows me away more so than astrology because humans made these numbers up. They shouldn't work, right? But they do. It's like, wow, that's really a more incredible magic than the cosmos. We can all relate to that affecting us. But the fact that human intelligence created these numbers that actually reflect back into our lives in meaningful ways is kind of an even more powerful magic than the cosmos. It's creative human intelligence aligned with higher purpose that these numbers reflect.
So that's based on birth dates, year you're born, the date, the month.
Yeah, just your birth date, and I just use the numbers in your birthday. You can look these up online and just look at personal year number. Is You can Google that and it'll give you the details on that and your life path number. There's a lot of good information on the web about how to figure those out, and what their input, what their opportunity entails. So, but I found that combining the two really gave a clarity that it didn't have before. And the astrological chart gives you the larger cosmic matrix of the design of your soul and what your soul is attempting to advance to or evolve to. And then the numerology gives you a specific timing of its unfoldment. So the two really worked beautifully together.
Wow. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming this 9 year cycle, everybody starts year one, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you got like 9 different cycles going out there then. So everybody's a 1 through 9.
Right. And you just started a whole new phase of your life this year. So, and what I've noticed is that because there's also month numbers, October always reflects emotionally what's coming into the following year. So when I would say since October, you're getting a signal that a whole new aspect of your soul is beginning to show itself, and a whole new path is opening for you, a whole new way of life. And the adventure almost like reboots itself at a higher rung of the spiral because it's not really circular; it's spiralic. Because you can go back in 9 year intervals in your life and compare how you had started that new cycle 9 years ago and how much you've advanced since then as well, back through your life. That's the beauty of numerology as well. It goes on with astrology as well. Like, if you all the planets have cycles of their orbital, synodic cycles around the sun, like Jupiter has a 12-year cycle. And so Jupiter 12 years ago was in the same place, the same sign as he is now. So you can go back 12 years as you're looking at how Jupiter is manifesting in your life to how you experienced it 12 years ago and realize how much you've advanced since then.
So
It's all,
Jupiter and some of these planets are they only affecting certain aspects of your life, of your character, of your energy? Like you got Neptune, you got all, is it a different energy force changing
yeah.
different parts? How explain that?
Yeah, they're different. They're like different Buddhas,
Okay.
It's like you have these different teachers who have developed a particular medicine that is connected to the divine, but it's like the colors of the rainbow. All the colors of the rainbow combined make a rainbow, but each color is unique and has a certain quality that influences you. Like when you see red, it's like, wow, okay, I'm really energized, and it gives me the energy to go out and play. And that's Mars. Mars's energy is the red energy that gives us motivation and drive to go out and pursue life and fulfill our own personal dreams. And Jupiter is the great guru. He was in the Hindu pantheon. He was Ganesh and the great benefactor. And the guru, the teacher, Jupiter tends to suggest a path through which you search for meaning, greater context understanding that gives your life purpose and meaning. So when Jupiter's transiting through your chart and it's aspecting other planets, then you can say, well, you're getting a broader view of the purpose and meaning of that quality of your life, that aspect of your life, through Jupiter's blessing and beneficial influence. So yeah, and when I do a session with someone, I also include major transits and progressions. Progressions are the way the chart gradually unfolds and flowers over time. But basically, the chart is a template that connects me with my team, the person's team, the soul star, and the higher dimensions. And I shifting into heightened awareness. It's just a jump off point because then the spirit takes over, and the energy moves as it's intended, and guided with a little help from our friends on the other side to bring that person the most beneficial and appropriate knowledge, and not only knowledge but energy that opens the heart and brings that person more fully back home to themselves, because that's the goal, is to come back home to yourself more deepen your conscious and purposeful connection to your soul, which is immortal, and understand how your soul moves in this world, not only to awaken yourself, but awaken others as well. The more so you as an individual awaken, you naturally awaken others. You don't have to do or say anything. Your energy just kind of lights them up. And particularly when your heart opens and deepens, the heart field is even much more powerful than the mind field. And just by walking into a room, others begin to feel your presence and their hearts open as well. And it's all just an exploration of how love moves in the world and how specifically we've been given and prepared for the opportunity to have a particular kind of medicine gift that reaches certain people that other people couldn't reach.
So I would assume that an old guy like me coming in, kind of setting up my way, my reading would be different than when you did my grandson at 19 years old. He's got his whole future ahead of him. How much is that of his future is he looking at? How much is that his free will? And how much of it looks like it's almost predestined, or is there such a thing?
Yeah, the old predictive models of astrology, particularly the Vedic systems that are highly predictive, tend to work for younger souls because as a kid they're you have children, their lives are lined up. The kid can predict when mom and dad are going to get them up and make them eat breakfast and send them to school and all that. It's all like lined out. But the older the soul, the more adult the soul, the more the soul plays a creative, uh, has a creative influence on the outcome. And that's why I never predict. I only describe the nature of the outcome, or the opportunity, and then the outcome is actually modeled and manifested by the level at which the soul meets the opportunity. And I can describe the same opportunity to three different people, and then all meet it at a different level. So it's the older the soul, the more it's impossible to predict the outcome because their free will engages with the opportunity and creates sometimes an outcome that can never even be imagined, especially when higher powers get involved and create magical outcomes that none of us could have predicted. There's always that influence as well. So I'm not, and some younger souls you can't predict for them because it's pretty much laid out by the soul contract they have with their own team to have certain experiences that are almost like fated, and they're because of their younger souls, you just go through the experience of a fated life and don't have much choice involved in the outcome. They just learn from the process, like a kid going to the first grade. They just do what the teacher tells them to do, and learn what they need to learn in first grade, which prepares them for the second grade.
So when you talked about when we're coming into this life, because
this one thought before you go on.
Yeah.
You said for an older person like yourself, the soul is immortal. So we're just talking about our incarnational span bound to the time-bound world of mortality, the mortal soul, the mortal body. So what I've noticed, though, is that everything that you learn, even to the point if you learn how to sing a new song at the moment of your passing or graduation from this world, you take that with you as a soul. So there's no limitation on or for me anyway, discouraging me to learn everything I can while I'm still here. And there's some people are like moved in a way in life that they set things in motion that will last far beyond their lifetime. Like those people who plant trees that they know will never even be as high as they are by the end of their incarnation, but they're doing it for future generations. And so to me, it's not really uh, I'm no longer living in a time-bound consciousness, because the more I advance, my soul advances in this incarnation, gets closer to its own graduation, the more timeless I feel. It's a strange feeling. I never expected to feel this way. But the more immortal I feel, and it's like, okay, but my body's still there. He's like part of this time-bound mortal world, and it's very real to him. But I'm no longer completely identified by my body soul. He's just my best friend who's going for the ride along with me here and making all this that I'm experiencing now possible. And I have a feeling you have the same kind of feeling about,
Yeah.
you know, you're just, there's a timeless quality about the way you live your life, even though for the mortal soul, it's like, wow, we know we're bound to this earthly body that is not going to live forever. But uh, it's no longer where we live primarily. We're already in the timeless zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah. In my world.
Yeah. So what were you going to say?
I was, you mentioned something about a contract before you were born. Can you
Mm.
elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's for those who have listened to those who've had NDEs or had life reviews, uh, gone to the other side and reviewed their lives and become aware of their soul's contract. This is like, it's quite common for them to describe seeing themselves before they were born, making a contract, a soul contract to explore and develop a certain quality of consciousness, a certain medicine, a gift, a life path that would advance their soul. And that may involve at certain times fated events happening, like meeting a certain person or a certain event occurring that awakens that individual to their medicine, their purpose, their direction in life. And these it almost feels like fate intervenes. I'm sure everybody's had that experience before, where fate seems to intervene and almost take your life out of your own hands. And it's like it seems like everything's fated, like the decision's already been made. And that's usually when I notice a soul contract has been activated. It's not like you have no choice in it; you've already chosen to meet that person at that time. And it seems like, wow, there's something else going on here when you meet someone like that. That it almost seems like on some level we had an agreement to meet each other, because it's just impossible that it could have unfolded so impeccably or perfectly the way it did. It's almost like a miracle unfolding. And I'm sure your life, Rev, has been filled with those kinds of encounters, where it just seems like the universe just lined up in certain ways that were like your own mind could never come up with, that makes the magic happen.
So you talk, I've heard you talk to other people, and you talk about uh, people that are like twin flames, twin souls. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
can is that a real concept? Is somebody you're so close to, somebody maybe you've been many lifetimes together with,
Um,
or is it
I can, from my own personal experience, I can see the potential between charts when people ask me about how does my line up, or is this the right person for me? There, whoever you call into your life for however long you do is always the right person for you. And in the unfolding of human relationships, I know you've been married for 51 years now,
55? But who's counting?
55 years. We could say that that's a soulmate
Yeah.
who agreed to, contracted with you to lay a foundation in your life that made what you do with other people and around the world possible, because you have that anchor. But it doesn't mean that others who haven't met someone with whom they've had a long-term relationship have failed. It's just your soul contract was required or suggested the the beauty of your marriage would make your medicine gift shine and make your life, that life, possible. But all relationships have a particular gift or medicine to be shared as long as it's mutual, and whether it's for one day or for 55 years. So I don't approach relationships as looking for the one, looking for the soulmate. Everyone you meet has a gift to give you. And if you find that you are dancing along with someone who happens to be like another racehorse on the track and just races along beside you and it's like enjoying the race, that's beautiful. And if it lasts for 55 years, that's beautiful too. But if it lasts for 3 years, it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you had a soul contract to develop certain qualities of your own nature, her nature, or his nature, through the alchemy that you shared with one another that evolved each other's souls. And if that contract was completed in that 3 years, then there's no longer a need to continue in that same framework of relationship. Now, relationships never end. They just change their form. We're forever related. We're all connected on the soul level. So let's say you had a deep dive with someone and even got married, and it went on for 3.5 years. And then both of you found that you've evolved in a way that your paths no longer aligned in that framework of marriage. Then in the pagan ways, they have ceremony because there's a hand fasting ceremony in the beginning, and then there's an hand fasting ceremony in the end, where they acknowledge the beauty that they shared, and their paths no longer support that framework of relationship, but they've evolved into a even more expanded relationship of friendship that can sustain and support them at the next level of their soul's path. So when you ask about soulmates, and a person comes to me and asks me whether this is my soulmate or this is the right person to be with, I can't answer that question. That's between their souls, because I've seen charts where the beauty was so completely there, all the connections were there, the possibility, the potential was there, because that's all we can see. But it couldn't be realized because one soul was really young and the other soul was old, and the young soul couldn't rise to the same level to meet the potential in the same way the old soul met it. So it's not my place to make that decision for anyone, but I can describe the nature of the opportunity and really encourage the person to recognize the beauty and the gift that's being freely shared, and not get greedy about it. Allow it to be revealed and bless both parties involved.
And then there's special relationships like with your children, with your grandchildren,
Right.
I mean, there's certain people that come into your life that actually function at that level, but not in a romantic sexual way, but with a friendship or a mentorship or partnership even.
Yeah, like you and Gianni.
Yeah, it feels like a partnership there.
Totally amazing. Yeah. But as we awaken, as the human race awakens, our whole experience of relationship begins to evolve as well, and whole new ways of responding to the energy of this exchange rather than the form becomes more of a way of life. And I know that, in the 60s especially, we were all experimenting with different forms of relationship because we were like, so, okay, we're going to follow the energy wherever it takes us, as long as it's mutual and supportive of one another. And all kinds of new ways of relating began to evolve that didn't seem to fit the idea of what an ideal relationship should look like. But the energy was guiding us rather than the form. But that's a long view into the future. I feel that the human race is heading in that direction as a whole.
Let's talk about that, because you must have kind of once in a while done some charts on where we're at now as a society, America, the world. Where are we?
Mhm. As everyone can notice, the world is a little chaotic right now. Everything's being turned upside down. We astrologers for decades now have been talking about Pluto returning to the United States as Pluto. It's like a 250-year cycle, signaling a complete death and rebirth of the United States as a nation. And it was exact. It's been exact the last few years, and it's still like and Pluto just moved into Aquarius. Uh, USA's Pluto's in Capricorn. So, and the last time Pluto was in Aquarius is when the federal government was formed. The Supreme Court, the Constitution, presidency, the entire Congress. So Pluto's passing over those birth charts. Everything has a birth chart. And so what's going on with Trump right now is a complete destruction and annihilation. So to rebuild the entire framework of the federal government. And that's how that comes out on the other end is it can't be known because uh, of the free will involved here again. But it's like a destabilization period where the America has the chance to reconnect with its own spirit because every nation has a spirit connected to eagle medicine that the United States was set aside for as being a light to the world. And at this point, I know many of us may not feel like we're fulfilling that purpose very well. We're almost showing the world what not to do. But that's an ongoing process that will reveal itself with Neptune now having gone into Aries. That's the beginning of an entirely new 165-year cycle of dreaming being set in motion. There's the personal dreaming body where we all seek to fulfill our personal dreams. But then there's also the collective dreaming body where nations and even civilizations dream of a better tomorrow, and at the foundation of a civilization seeks to reach that goal through the means through which it builds and sustains a particular culture. Now, Neptune, having gone into Aries, suggests an entire 165-year cycle of our dream weaving, our civilization and cultures has completed, and an entirely new one is now beginning to emerge. And my team has been talking about a new world religion that really truly is refocused on honoring self, honoring the right of the individual to pursue their dreams and fulfill their higher destiny. And that's Neptune's and Aries opportunity for the next 14 years. And it's interesting that, like I was saying earlier, that it's all about cycles. The last time Neptune went into Aries to the very day was the beginning of the Civil War.
Wow.
And Mars has gotten a reputation of being warlike, but it's the spiritual warrior. So Neptune would be the higher, the agent and power of love, and the higher dimensions, the angelic realms. And Mars would be the spiritual warrior, almost like holy war, crusading for a new way of being, fulfilling humanity's dreams in direct relationship to the source itself and the angelic realms. So it's kind of like the sword of Michael, yeah. And that's just now begun to get underway. It'll shift back into Pisces shortly, but by the real event horizon, if you want to call it that, is February of 2026, when Saturn and Neptune combine at 0 degrees of Aries, both starting a new 165-year cycle of dreaming. And then Saturn, being the master of the tonal of this world, starting a new 30-year cycle of manifestation. So that the Saturn will make it possible to build a bridge from the heavens, Neptune, to Earth, Saturn, as the living manifestation of that bridge from heaven to earth becoming more of a goal for all of us to realize more fully not just individually, but collectively as well. So this is kind of like a bridge year. We sense a lot of things are changing. We're caught in the middle. We're not quite sure where it's going to land. But by the beginning of next year, 2026 especially, up forward, it's like we start to find solid ground. Yeah, it's like we know that we're in a new world now. It's like everything's like kind of dissolving and losing its credibility for us individually and as a nation, and even the world. And look, we're looking. Many people are now looking for a way shower, some kind of higher order prophet or way shower to open the way with a new vision of what humanity, what's possible for us all, that brings us together, so we can literally dream a new dream.
So this
And that,
tearing down process is actually part of the growing process. It's like the incoming tide meeting the outgoing tide. It's like it's a necessary cleansing to build anew. Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, it's like just before the new cycle begins, we have to know that the old cycle is over. So the way the old cycle shows us that is by really just, showing us how completely it's not working. Point where the last little bit of fantasy we have about it still working for us is eliminated. So it's what I call fantasy busting. But that last 2% is the hardest. So we have to really just go for it and finally bust the last 2% of that dream to know that there's something's not working here. We've got to open our hearts individually and collectively to literally recreate the world, reinvent the world. And that's why a lot of in the New Age movement, they're all talking about a new Earth. It's not so much going to be a new Earth, but a new awareness of how connected we are to one another, and that if we don't come together to meet the challenge that's being presented to humanity, none of us are going to make it. So crisis sometimes can create an opening for a deeper level of compassion, where we are aware of the opportunity to work together to meet the challenge. And I have no idea how the higher power is going to trick us into doing that, but it's evident that something is brewing that will bring us all together as one race, one people, one humanity to meet the challenge.
Yeah,
And
it's
it seems like,
not just the United States, it's worldwide. It's
yeah, it's worldwide. Yeah,
all
and
the standard
yeah,
tradition.
yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be connected with natural events, climate change, if you want to call it that, where it brings us together.
Oh, well,
But when bringing it back down to the personal level, we each play a role in the greater evolution of this, not just ourselves, but the entire human race. When one of us breaks through, everyone breaks through. And you have a particular ancestral line that you also chose, so that when you break through, your ancestral line breaks through. So I wouldn't underestimate the beauty and gift and power of your reconnecting and deepening your connection to your soul. Even if no one else notices, the energy radiates from you down through your um, ancestral line and even to the entire human race. So that when one of us breaks through, like a rishi in the Himalayas that no one's ever even heard of, breaks through, we all break through. So don't underestimate the beauty and gift of the part you're playing in this larger drama of the human race finally returning home to itself, and as they come home to themselves individually, come home to each other.
wow.
Yeah.
All right, Eric. We could get deeper at another time. We might do another video on this and see what kind of
Sure.
reaction we have on this. But how can people get a hold of you if they want a reading?
Okay. It's I'm on Facebook. Facebook Messenger is the easiest, but I know a lot of people aren't on Facebook. So uh, my email is estarwalker@yahoo.com.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
But you made me a believer. And you call it a testimonial, but I wanted to share what you do at a wider audience because I think that it's a tool that people aren't taking advantage of. I
Yeah,
don't think people just go out and get a fortune telling and getting this is going to happen, and
right.
money's coming. No, people really need to know is why and purpose,
Yeah.
and I think you provide that.
Yeah, brother. You're moved by the spirit as I can really recognize myself in the way you move in the world as well. And we know uh, we don't really need to be successful or look for acknowledgement, likes, all that stuff. There's something in us that we've been given a gift by the higher power. It doesn't belong to us, and it just overflows and is looking to be shared. So whatever I can, whatever part I can play in the awakening of others is just a great gift to me as well.
Well, thank you. You're a great gift to me as a friend. I appreciate it as well. Eric
Yeah,
Starwalker, thank you for the interview. Any
you're
last
welcome.
you want to impart before we close this?
Yeah, just two things I try to remember when the going gets tough is not to take anything personally and to be kind to myself and others, and that seems to work pretty well.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
And we're going to end this recording.